Hi, and welcome to another episode of New Old and Songs Untold, episode 45, I believe. We
Yeah.
are doing Boston today, not the
Yes.
city,
Not the
the
city.
band. Um, yeah, I mean, before we get,
Are you gonna
just,
introduce us or no?
no, I'm just gonna, I'm like so tired today. My name's Nick, and this is my co host, Anna.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
I saw the last few weeks we've got a bunch of new listeners. So
Yeah.
welcome if this is the
A
first
few
time
new
listening.
people
Welcome
listening.
to listening. Welcome to listening. Welcome to the podcast.
You've never listened to anything before.
We kind
Welcome.
of, I guess if you're listening for the first time, we kind of just do talk about different artists, give our favorite songs and other different musical topics.
Yes.
So today, like I said, we're doing Boston.
Yeah.
So you want to give a little background on Boston?
Yes, I can do that. So Boston is an American rock band from obviously Boston, Massachusetts. Big surprise.
It'd be funny if they weren't.
I know.
Like if they're from
New York or something.
or like from like Nevada or something,
Yeah,
or like
that would have actually
Boston.
been much more
It
entertaining
would
to
have
me.
been.
But yeah, their most notable successes were during the 1970s and 80s. It's a band centered around multi-instrumentalist and founder and leader Tom Schultz, who played the majority of the instruments on the debut album. And then it consists of also lead vocalist Brad Delp. He's got that iconic voice that I feel like is the sound of Boston.
Yes.
The band has sold more than 75 million records worldwide, including 31 million albums in the US, of which 17 million were from its self-titled debut album.
Which is no surprise.
Not surprised at all. Yeah, they had 6 studio albums over their whole career, and they're kind of known as like in the kind of hard rock, progressive rock area of music. And yeah, we'll get more into kind of the details of the albums as we go in, but that's a little bit of the background.
Well, what did you think like before going into this?
So I love their debut album. I love amazing
Agreed.
album. I've listened to it a lot.
Agreed.
I have it on vinyl. But yeah, and I've heard that like some of their other albums are not very good. So I was interested to see if I like agreed with that or kind of what their sound was like after that first album because it was so popular.
I did not know kind of what to expect. I mean, I knew they're like very popular ones.
Yeah.
They're like three. I say that like I knew well they're three very popular songs, and other ones I've never listened to their Boston
Yeah.
all the way through.
Debut.
So I didn't quite know what to expect, and I guess we'll kind of
Yeah, we'll get into
it.
our thoughts. So should we start with Spotify number 10?
Yes, the number 10 on Spotify is first of all, I feel like our lists are probably going to be very similar.
Yeah, probably.
Because my
To
list
be fair, there isn't a lot to
there's
choose
not.
from.
There's only five five albums.
I think
You
it
said
six in
six,
here,
but I only saw five.
Yeah, they might have a live album.
They
Then.
might.
Or
Oh,
something.
they have a greatest hits.
Oh, that might be it.
They have a
then.
greatest hits one. So there's not a ton of songs out of five albums.
No. And they're all short albums. Like they don't have. Like,
Oh,
a
I know.
million
It's
songs.
like the first. I think Boston has 8 songs.
Yeah.
I think one had 10 or something.
Yeah,
They're very short. So, all right. So number 10 on Spotify is "Something About You" off of their debut album with 8 million plays.
All right.
What is your number 10?
My number 10 is "We're Ready" off of their album Third Stage. So that's their third album. Kind of the back end of my list mostly has like similar kinds of songs where they're like not their most popular ones from their debut, but just kind of stragglers I found in their other albums that I kind of still enjoyed. But this one is I really liked it because it had like really great drum and like guitar intro. And like many Boston songs, it starts really soft, but then builds into like this really incredible rock song.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of their issues or like kind of problems with their like later albums is that they sound very similar to the first one, but not similar enough to be like as good.
Yeah, I completely agree.
The sound, they didn't really develop the sound of their band all that much, which like To be fair, that some bands just kind of stick with
See,
what they like, but
yeah, I think their second album through their fifth album sound all very the same, and their first album sounds actually the most like
different. Yeah,
Yeah,
but they all still
but
have
they're all the
elements
same.
of like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yep,
same
yep,
kind of sound.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
but we're ready for my number 10.
My number 10 is Walk On off of their album Walk On. 1994 came out. Um, my list is, spoiler alert, going to be basically two songs and one album. So
Yeah.
but so this is one of the unique ones I found. The upbeat guitar and the kind of mellow tone. This song was like very unique, I think, is why I kind of put on my list, because it's very different. Because
Yeah. I don't think I have anything from that album.
because I had this and like Walk On Continues or whatever, that other part two basically
Yeah,
of this song.
they do a lot of
I was like I kind of flagged both of them, but this one is definitely like, it's an upbeat guitar with like a mellow tone in his voice, which was definitely, it was a very interesting song to listen to. It was definitely unique. So that was my number 10, Walk On.
All right.
Number 9 for the Spotify list is Let Me Take You Home Tonight off of their debut album Boston. 9 million plays.
All right.
What was your number 9?
My number 9 is Don't Look Back off the album Don't Look Back. I think that's their second album.
That's also my number 9.
Oh, really?
Yep. So I guess we'll talk about Don't Look Back. Both are our number 9s.
Yeah, so this song is kind of about looking ahead and making the most of your time on Earth. And apparently the kind of like distorted guitar sound was created by devices that were actually designed by the group leader, Tom Schultz. In like the liner notes of the album, there was actually like a little thing that boasts that there were no synthesizers used on the album. So he just created all of these from his own kind of device. Which he was before he like started this band, he went for engineering at MIT. So he used a lot of his background to create like this whole home studio to make I think they made basically the entire first album.
They did, I think. Yeah. They did.
Yeah.
They did. They made a couple in there.
Yeah,
actually.
I think some songs from the second album also were made in this home studio in his basement, basically. But like the first album, Don't Look Back, was made in this home studio, and then he played most of the instruments himself. But on this track, some of his bandmates also contributed. But yeah, it sounds like it could be on the first album to me.
Yeah, I think it should be on the first album.
Yeah, it has a similar tone and sound, and it has those like killer melodies that are really catchy.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, it's the best non-first album song that they have.
Yes, I would agree.
And you're gonna see that with the list, and kind of like, I think the background is, I have a little bit about the actual song. So this album supposedly is like kind of introducing. So basically, the album kind of carries a story throughout it.
Almost like a concept album.
Yeah, kind of like a concept album. But this song introduces the first song, I believe, on the album. So it introduces the story of, quote, the man, a disgruntled elder who becomes a rock and roll youth in the album throughout the song. So kind of like, and then this song's like, the man's tired of being the man is tired of being the elder he is, so he tries to change his way by doing something he's always planned for the journey, a moving plan to walk all the way to try to find a new home. So, and he doesn't want to look back to where he's going. So that's kind of what the song's about, and you said a lot of, so that's both our number 9s.
Yes.
Don't Look Back. I think this might happen a few more times.
Probably. I don't know. We'll see.
I wonder if we can get a 3-peat. 3 for 3 for 3. So
I don't know. My 8 might be a little bit different than yours.
All right. Well, we'll start with the Spotify number 8 is Hitch a Ride off their debut album Boston, 18 million plays. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is Amanda off of Third Stage.
So that's on the Spotify list farther up, actually. I did not enjoy this song.
I like this song, yeah. So it was actually their first and only number 1 hit, which is surprising because you would think some of their earlier songs would have reached that, but I think they got like 4 and like they got close to number 1.
It was like really random too, because like when I was looking through Spotify, it was just this song Amanda's like the 5th popular song. So I was like, it's really random. And I was
I don't think I've ever heard this song before.
No, neither did I.
So it was written by Tom Schultz again, and he was kind of more concerned with like creating a really meticulous melodic rock song than like pouring out his heart with the lyrics. But I love like the sound of it, and I feel like it's basically about like a guy telling a girl that he loves her for the first time, and it sounds like very 80s, because I think this came out
That's probably why.
I don't remember when, like 80. What was it, like 83?
I don't have anything.
86.
86.
Yeah, so it came out in 86. And it has a very like 80s style, but also like, those like 70s Boston roots and like the guitar work. So yeah, I don't know. I liked it.
I think that's why I didn't enjoy it too much because I'm not the biggest 80s music fan. So,
yeah, it definitely sounds
that's like
more 80s than some of the
like
other
that
stuff.
album, like that album particularly was like that's why for me it got like kind of worse as it went.
Yeah. But that is Amanda for my number 8.
All right, my number 8 is "Smokin'" off of their debut album Boston, 1976. This song kind of captures the essence of what it is, kind of being a part of the rock culture at that time. You know, smoking weed and dancing at rock and roll shows. That's kind of what the song's about, and I really like the fast pace, how fast the song is. Right off the start, you know, it's a really fun song to listen to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 8, "Smokin'."
All
right, on to number 7 for the Spotify list is "Rock and Roll Band" off of their debut album Boston 2000. I keep
2000.
21 million plays. What is your number 7?
My number 7 is "It's Easy" off of "Don't Look Back." This one I again had never heard, and I don't have a lot to say about it, but when I heard it, like the first time I heard it, it really like stood out to me for whatever reason. It's kind of about like living for the moment and taking life one step at a time. It kind of has like slower, more emotional parts, which is a nice change from their like really like heavy rock kind of sound, but it still like rocks like a classic Boston song. And it has the classic harmonies that I think like the harmonies and his voice like definitely defined what their sound is. And this song, it sounded like that kind of classic Boston sound. But yeah, It's Easy for my number 7.
All right, for my number 7, I have "Something About You" off their debut album Boston. The song describes experience kind of starting to develop feelings towards a woman, and basically they're saying it's not easy for like a rock star to kind of admit. I love the classic guitar, like very classic Boston guitar sound through it, with the more like toned down vocal performance. But they definitely kept the guitar, but the vocal performance, by toned down, it's not as, I don't even know I was trying to describe it when I was writing it, but not like as in your face. I don't even know if that's even a great way to describe it, but it's definitely like more toned down and more kind of raw kind of vocal from him, and it's a really unique. I think this is another like different song, I think too, that I remember quite a bit. So that's "Something About You" for my number 7.
All right,
on to number 6 is "Don't Look Back" for Spotify with 22 million plays. What is your number 6?
All right, my number 6 is "Hitch a Ride" off of their debut album
That's
Boston.
also my number 6.
Really? Wow, what a coincidence. Right. Basically the rest of my list is from their debut album.
So we'll see how many. So we'll just talk about "Hitch a Ride" is both our number 6s.
So in this song, it's kind of about like hitching a ride to somewhere far away, and it's not, he's like not clear what they're like leaving behind, but it's kind of an emotional journey that they're going through, looking for like freedom. And I feel like this song is much like darker tone.
It is.
And
definitely.
It's kind of like, I mean, I love like the more somber and like reflective tone of the song because it does stand out. I feel like a lot of their songs, like they don't sound all the same, but they have a lot of like similar tone. And I feel like his voice kind of connects them all. But yeah, this one definitely sounds distinct, which I really like.
For sure.
But yeah, do you have anything to say about it?
I think like the guitar, like this one, like very uniquely, like the guitar matches the tone and the vocals of the song very well. Like it's a very like coherent, very well put together song.
Yeah.
No, you kind of said what the song is about. So that was our number 6.
Yes.
Hitch a Ride. All right, on to number 5 now. Top 5? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, number 5 for the Spotify is Amanda with 46 million plays.
All right.
What is your number 5?
Let's see if they're the same. My 5 is rock and roll band.
No, that's my 4.
Oh, okay. So this tells the story of a Boston rock band paying their dues, kind of like busking and sleeping in cars and playing the bar circuit, and eventually they get like the big break. So Tom Schultz wrote this song, obviously, but it was actually not based on their band because this is from their debut. They weren't really a band, but it's based on conversations he had with Jim Mastia, who's a drummer who often collaborated with Schultz, and kind of told a lot of stories from him working in a lot of other bands. And I feel like it starts like right out the bat with them just like shredding on the guitar. It's such a cool sound, and I love the chorus. It's it's very exciting sounding and catchy. And like I feel like this song and like More Than a Feeling, the main singer, Delp, he literally reaches these notes that are like incredibly impossible.
I know, right?
How do you like physically do that? It's crazy. But that is Rock and Roll Band for my number 5.
My number 5 is Let Me Take You Home Tonight. That was kind of like, I was going to try to say for very fast, but I wanted to say, Let Me Take You Home Tonight off their debut album. I love the vocals in the beginning of the song. It's very cool. Like, it's very, like, the beginning of the song is very cool, and throughout the song, it's kind of like a softer tone, especially for, like, I think by softer, like, the tone, the tone itself of the song is a lot softer for what you typically hear, especially this debut album.
Yeah.
Or the first, like 3 or 4 songs, I should say. And it definitely makes it unique, and it was another like great just find. I'd never heard this song before, and it was really good. So that's my number 5, Let Me Take You Home Tonight. All right, on to number 4 on Spotify is Smokin' off their debut album, 46 tied for number 5, 46 million plays. What is your number 4? My number 4 is Let Me Take You Home Tonight. We flip-flopped 4 and 5. So 1 through 3 are going to be the same songs. It's
but
just
in different
what
order. Yeah. But yeah, you kind of said kind of what I was going to say a little bit. So this is the only song on their debut album that was written by the vocalist Brad Delp and not Tom Schultz, who wrote most of the music. Yeah. So I feel like that's why it sounds so different. But yeah, it's basically centered around trying to like pick up a girl, and like my absolute favorite part of the song is the guitar solo, because it goes from like a really sharp rock guitar to more of like a wavy sounding like psychedelic sound right in the middle of the song, and I think that it sounds so cool. We haven't talked about like their album art yet, but they have incredible album art with like the spaceship and everything. I love that like whole theme, and I love how they carry that throughout their albums. But there's certain parts of the songs that feel kind of like space age and like very ahead of its time, and I love that. I feel like that's what really makes them stand out. But yeah, this one's also just a little bit slower. I feel like than the rest of their songs. It still has like the hard rock elements in it, but it's a little bit slower than the rest of their debut. But that is Let Me Take You Home Tonight for my number 4. My number 4 is something you just talked about, Rock and Roll Band. I feel like this is going to be so confusing. I know. So you said a lot about the song, so I literally have nothing. I love this. I knew this song before. This was the 4, like there was 4 that I knew. This was one I've heard, didn't know the name though. It's funny because it's the I saw the irony of this song is that the band, like Boston, never really happened how they probably thought after their first album. But what do you mean?
Like the amount of stuff the amount of albums and didn't put out to. I just saw this comment. I thought it was funny. I think so are you talking about like how they like were paying their dues in the song? But in real life they got popular instantaneously after their first album. Exactly. Their popularity like right away was actually really crazy. I'm surprised they didn't make more albums.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like after their debut kind of blew up out of nowhere. Like they had barely even been a band and they kind of blew up. So yeah. That is kind of a funny coincidence.
That they didn't have to necessarily pay their dues like a lot of
artists. No, they didn't do any of that, but they wrote a song about it.
So, yeah, that's my number 4 Rock and Roll Band. All right, we're on to number 3 for the Spotify list is Foreplay / Long Time off of their debut album was 72 million plays. What is your number 3?
So my number 3 is also foreplay / long time.
Oh, we're just gonna be flip flopping back and forth here.
Yeah, so this is again off the debut album, and yeah, I love the like Hammond organ solo in the beginning. It's so unique, and I feel like some of their songs, especially this one, like the musical ingenuity kind of overshadows some of the lyrics to the song, but it sounds incredible. It's kind of about like hitting the road to follow a dream, but being conflicted about leaving people behind. It's up for interpretation though. Like a lot of their songs don't really have a clear meaning. And with like it's like they have an almost 3-minute instrumental intro, and the shift into like the really powerful vocals to this song has a very like epic feel to it, which a lot of their songs I feel like do, but this one especially because it builds up so much with the intro of foreplay. And then so when it cuts to just like hand claps and the acoustic guitar when he's singing, I love that part. That's probably my favorite part of the song. But and it's a long song.
It is.
It's like 7 minutes long.
Well, I think it's originally the version that I don't know if it originally like when it released. I don't know. You have the album. Is it one song on the album?
Yeah.
Because they said, I read somewhere that they made that because of radio edits, so I didn't know if there was a version that they had it just tracked out separate.
Yeah, I think they have a radio edit where like long time is separated.
Okay.
Like it's just long time.
Gotcha.
And they have that because that's like
that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. But that is foreplay long time for my number 3.
My number 3 is Peace of Mind.
Nice.
Obviously off their debut album, peaked at number 38 on the Billboard Hot 100. Kind of hear the singer is taking over the world and the society around him, while everyone has it on their grind to rise up the corporate ladder and kind of caught up in the hustle. He takes a step back and is content where he is in life, and he's trying to reach his peace of mind. And it's kind of, the song's about the time when before he was a musician and he worked at Polaroid Corporation.
Yep.
So I thought, I love the guitar of the song, and it's such like an upbeat song, both like the vocals and how like just the sound, how it sounds, and it's a very relatable, I think, kind of theme to like everybody. You know, people wake up and have to do their grind for work every day, and kind of like you can get caught up in that. So it's a very relatable song. It's a very like almost fun upbeat song too at the same time. So that is my number 3, Peace of Mind. On to number 2 for Spotify.
Yes, is number 2.
The song I just talked about, Peace of Mind, with 114 million plays.
All right.
And is that your number 2?
No.
Oh. See, this is gonna get really confusing, guys.
That's okay. You know, we'll just.
All right, what's your number 2 then? It's probably my number 1.
Yes, so my number 2 is More Than a Feeling off the debut album. So apparently it was written about like a fantasy event, but it's one that like a lot of people identify with, and it's kind of about somebody losing somebody that was important to them, and then the music kind of like taking them back to that time. This song he worked on for 5 years in the basement studio that he made before it was released on the album, which I think is crazy, working on one song for like that long. But yeah, it has really epic like loud parts and then like more emotional softer parts that I feel like perfectly blend together.
Yes.
And the moment after the bridge is when he really hits the impossible notes that like human voices should not be able to create, but he does. It's almost like a screech, like on pitch somehow. It's amazing. But yeah, that is More Than a Feeling for my number 2.
All right, my number 2 is Foreplay, Long Time. You talked about it quite a bit, and peaked at number 22 in the Billboard Hot 100. And kind of like you said, I love the kind of psychedelic sound to like they mix in with the classic kind of like Boston rock sound that they have.
Yeah.
It throughout the intro. The intro, I love both parts like almost equally. I love that intro. Like quite a bit.
The intro is incredible, and I feel like it has like a really cool bass part where that is like the melodic, you know, part of it.
And then like you talked about that like riff that opens into Long Time is so good too.
Yes,
like I consider that's probably would be like the intro of Long Time.
Yeah.
But that's like the beginning of that's like awesome, like absolutely awesome. So yeah, that's my number 2, Foreplay, Long Time.
All right.
Before we do, number one. Should we do some honorable mentions?
Yes, let's do some honorable mentions.
What
So
you got?
mine are Smokin', A Man I'll Never Be, Cool the Engines, Something About You, and I Think I Like It.
Mine are Party, We're Ready, Cool the Engines, Can't You Say, and I Think I Like It.
All right.
All right, number one for Spotify is also my number one, so I'm just going to talk about it right
Go
away
for it.
since you already talked about it. Is More Than a Feeling.
Yeah, I saw that.
More Than a Feeling with 432 million plays. You said quite a bit about what it was about, and I saw this in an interview. Like, who is Marianne?
Oh yeah.
So apparently Marianne was like when he was 8 or 9 was like one of his cousins or something.
Yeah, his older
cousin that like
was named Marianne.
Yeah, or something like that. That he had like a kid crush on or something.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny reading that. But the song itself, the classic guitar, like this is the Boston song to me. It's the Boston song. It's what everyone knows. I think it's their best song because it's like the greatest mix of guitar and drums with the perfect like craziness almost of the vocals that just make a really, really great song.
Yeah, I feel like his vocals really stand. I mean, like I said, he reaches, crazy notes, but he's
also very smooth too. It's very like smooth sounding.
This song particularly shows off like his vocals, I think, in the best way.
But yeah, I absolutely love this song. I knew the song obviously before we listened. The
song's on Rock Band.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to sing on Rock Band.
True, but so that's my number one, More Than Feeling. I think I know your number one, so
yeah. So my number one is Peace of Mind off their debut album. So you already talked about this one, but he wrote this when he was a senior engineer at Polaroid. It's kind of about finding your passion, and I love the acoustic guitar in the beginning before like the electric comes in, with like the really iconic riff. Kind of reminds me of like a Heart song or something, Crazy on You, when it has like the acoustic and then it comes all in like at once with the electric. And we've talked about, but his voice has a very distinct sound, and like it's really powerful sounding. And I feel like this song, it sounds very like fresh but nostalgic at the same time. Like it sounds like they're breaking new ground, but also like you've heard it's it has this familiarity to it as well. But yeah, and I love the whole message behind it. I feel like this song like mixes their like musical abilities with also like the lyrical content that I like actually has like a lot of meaning. I like that a lot, but that is Peace of Mind for my number one.
All right, before we go into our afterthoughts, let's run through our list again.
Yeah. So my number 10 was We're Ready. My number 9 is Don't Look Back. My number 8 is Amanda. My number 7 is It's Easy. My number 6 is Hitch a Ride. My number 5 is Rock and Roll Band. My number 4 is Let Me Take You Home Tonight. My number 3 is Foreplay a Long Time. My number 2 is More Than a Feeling, and my number 1 is Peace of Mind.
All right, my number 10 is Walk On. My number 9 is Don't Look Back. Number 8 was Smokin'. Number 7 was Something About You. Number 6 was Hitch a Ride. Number 5 was Let Me Take You Home Tonight. Number 4 was Rock and Roll Band. Number 3 was Peace of Mind. Number 2 was Foreplay a Long Time. And number 1 was More Than a Feeling. So what you think after listening through all of it?
Yeah, I mean, I still love their debut album. I think it's the best album that they have, and I think it's one of the best debut albums that has ever come out. It's just kind of hit after hit after hit.
We were joking. I was joking before the podcast, but I was like, when I told you, I was like, they could have retired after their first 3 songs.
Yes, because they're incredible, and I feel like when they came out is important too because they have such a distinct sound. I feel like they kind of took the hard rock in their own direction.
Made it definitely their own.
Yes, I feel like no one else sounds like Boston.
I definitely, that was my biggest takeaway. Literally, I was thinking the same thing. They're like one of the most unique bands. I think I've never heard anyone like them.
No, yeah.
So in that, I guess, style of you being unique, their first album is fantastic. And it holds up. It's a fantastic album through and through. But personally, I'm not the biggest like 80s music fan as you guys. If you've listened to the podcast when we did God, what's her name? Blondie.
Oh yeah, well that's not
well,
just
that's
the
not really 80s, but they kind of got into more of that kind of style late, like in their second album.
Yeah.
Wasn't as like, but then started especially in the third, and that's just not my kind of music. So,
and I feel like in their first album they're just so like raw, like they're kind of exploring new territory in rock and roll, and I feel like that is what makes that stand out so much, is that they're just experimenting and doing what their own like voice and style that they want.
I felt like a lot too with the other albums. I was listening to the same song 8 times in a row.
Yes.
So
yeah.
But I love their first album. Absolutely loved their first album, and like we kind of talked about, I think they're one of the most unique bands, like sound wise, I've ever heard.
Yes,
so.
I would 100% agree.
All right, you got anything else to add?
No, I don't think so.
Well, that wraps up another episode of New, Old, and Songs Untold. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes.
If you want to find us on social media, Twitter and Instagram, it's at
Songs Untold.
At Songs Untold. Sorry, just have a
I've
freaking
only said
stroke
this 45 times.
I know. If you're watching on YouTube, or if you're not, you can go watch. We have most of our, not every one we started, I think around episode like 30-ish. I'm not quite sure.
You can go watch the video version of the podcast on our YouTube channel.
New, Old, and Songs Untold is called. Subscribe if you're there. Comment. Subscribe. I can't talk.
Sorry, we just had a glitch.
It's like
it makes brain.
It's Friday afternoon. It's been a long week. All right.
Oh man.
My brain, the brain. I had the glitch there.
If you want to listen to any of the songs that we talked about on this episode or past episodes, you can check it out at New, Old, and Songs Untold podcast playlist on Spotify.
And as we've been recently saying, next week we have no idea what you guys are going to hear.
I think it's more exciting when they don't know.
I know.
It's more exciting when I don't know. So.
I know, right? But thank you guys for listening, and have a great rest of your week.